So this is my video blog. We are in week 12, I think. I chose to do the first option, which is just a self-reflection of my service journey and how I'm going along and how my perspectives of service might have changed along the way. And if I were to sum up service in one word, I think I would choose the word empowerment. I think that service to another person is, in my personal ability, is showing somebody else the power they have to take control of their life and their situation. I believe that me giving someone else the power to do something is stronger than me doing something on my own. So that's the one word I would use. And as far as my journey in service this semester, I've learned a lot. I've taken a lot of new perspective, especially given all of the circumstances in our local area this year. Specifically in terms of service learning versus just like regular volunteering, I've kind of learned, or come to a place anyway, where I think that they're different. There's a nuance and there's a difference. Volunteering in and of itself is typically altruistic, and you do it because you want good for someone else, and you're not really thinking of yourself at all. In some cases, I imagine you may be doing it to fulfill yourself in some kind of way, because doing good feels good. In terms of service learning, I think it's the same case, but I think there's an obligatory atmosphere to it. I've felt that a couple of times in my service experience. Because I'm there to learn, and I'm doing this as a perfunctory component of a class. Kind of like, it's something I gotta do to pass the class in some cases. Like, I'm not saying that's me, because I've really enjoyed it, but, for some people that might be the case. They're like, hey, I gotta have this class, I gotta do this, or I'm not gonna pass. So I'm just here, and I'll do something, I guess, right? So there can be that kind of atmosphere to it. And I think in terms of how that can present going into a volunteer environment, not very well. Especially if you're going somewhere where you're dealing with disenfranchised or vulnerable people. If you're going into a mental health space to volunteer, or you're doing something where there's a lot of emotional charge in the area, or if you're going to help somebody who's in need of help, and then you say, well, I'm here because I've got this class and I got to do this service. This is kind of a requirement for me. Like, I feel as though that could make some people really unhappy, as though, like, it would make them feel like they're just a specimen for your learning, or they're an exhibit for you to, analyze and get, they're there for you in that moment. You're not necessarily as much there for them as they are for you. So I think that may be something that someone should, especially if you're going to be doing service in like a crisis situation or an emotionally charged situation, you really may want to take some thought and care into that. I found that kind of came into my mind as I was trying to volunteer for the Red Cross, which I'll get into in a little bit. With that being said, though, I do still think service is important, and I do plan to try to motivate people however I can to serve. And I put some thought into that and how I can do that with my what abilities I have that I can use to bring other people to a place of wanting to serve. And that's really just, what do I get out of serving, and showing people what I get out of serving, which in my experience has been a wonderful community and a lot of friends. So if I can go to people that I think would be great people to serve and help other people, I can say, I've gotten a beautiful community of friends and lifelong friends, and, I'm in this wonderful community of all these beautiful people, and I wouldn't have got that had I not just stepped in and said, hey, I value you as a person, and I want to help improve your life just because I think you're a great person. One of my best friends I got through serving. So I think that's one of the biggest motivating abilities I have for helping other people want to serve. And then kind of on the community topic. So that's another thing that kind of come into my head in this journey was, where do I belong? What community do I belong to? And how can I serve my own community? Which I consider myself, I grew up and am born and raised and still consider myself to this day, I am blue collar Tennessean. Like I am Southern to the bone. Like it just is what it is, right? I mean, I don't like throw that on people. Like I don't look at people differently for not being that way. Like I am blue collar Southern, right? And then we got into the situation with Helene, and I want to show you something. So, like I said, I am blue collar Southern, and when we got hit from Helene, I really felt like I needed to step in and help my community. So I went and tried to volunteer with the Red Cross, and I faced too many challenges in that, and they just would not allow me to volunteer. So I stepped into a different role, working with a local college at Bucky's Food Pantry, and they were working to deliver supplies to the local community. And I want to show you, this is all supplies housed in the recycling center. All of these are clothes, household items, all that sort of stuff. Behind this wall here is the food pantry in Buck Ridge. There is a pantry full of food and clothing raised by the community to take into these hurt communities. And these people are so overabundant with relief supplies right now that they can't even take it. And that's because of what we're calling Appalachians helping Appalachians. I'm not going to get into the situation in terms of, FEMA and all these large agencies and, how they are supposedly have mishandled all the situation. I'm not going to get into that. That's way longer than a few minute blog for somebody to unpack, right? But one product of that was people deciding, hey, I'm going to take care of my own. So I went with a group to go into North Carolina to deliver supplies, and we took an entire U-Haul worth of stuff out there. And we came back with half of it. We couldn't give it away. They said, we've got too much, we can't take it. So all of these supplies are just still here. We got to find something else to do with them now, which is a great problem to have because that's just Appalachians taking care of Appalachia, right? So I want to lean in a lot on that, serve in your community. You can serve in whatever community you choose to, but the community that you serve in, if it's your community, you'll be much more motivated to serve in it. You'll make lasting impact. You'll build stronger bonds in your community. And I think you'll get more fulfillment out of it. They will get more fulfillment out of it. And it'll work in a much more harmonious way versus you trying to step into someone else's community. And that raised another point for me in my thought processes, which was, if I go and I tell somebody that, what if they don't have a community? You're seeing that a lot in kids, I say kids, I mean young adults and anybody say under the age of 30, right? Like community is kind of dying, and it's sad, but you run across it more and more. Like people just don't have community. And then I thought, well, how can I step into helping that? And then I thought about one of my abilities. What motivates me to want to do that? And I have a picture here to show you. It's a picture of me. And I, fun fact, am a beekeeper. And this is my favorite picture of me. I'm sitting here holding a bee frame. It kind of cut my head off, but it's still my favorite picture of me. And I'm teaching a class to a group of college students here at UTSU about how to beekeep. And I thought to myself, if I can show people the world and the community that they live in, they might be motivated to better serve that community or even join that community if they don't feel like they're a part of it. So that's my ability. That's my superpower. And that's what keeps me motivated. That's what makes me want to serve even more. So I'm glad I got to show you a little window into the situation, into what I've been got going on. And I think we've got another 3 weeks or so. I got a few more, I think 10 hours or so to serve in the food pantry. I think we may make another supply deposit trip one more time before the end of the semester, I hope. So I don't know what's going to come of it, but I'm excited for the future. So thanks for watching.